Um,
Oh,
a number of us have been a member for over a year, I think, and we may not be able to vote if we don't have renewed memberships. And I guess
yes, indeed. There's a lot of yeah, the undefinedness about that.
and
So
I was wondering, is there any resolution? I mean, is there any way we can renew?
I'm presuming that that resolution will be passed because otherwise Kenny Rowe will not be able to vote, and so a number of others. So I don't think there's any danger of that actually happening.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe other people have different perspectives on it.
I think we can move on.
Okay, so somebody placed this RChain fork here. What does this mean? Who wrote this?
I wrote it. We're going to find out in next hour the details of RChain's competition, which includes a reflective, a former reflective person, and a couple of others. From RChain, reflective and RChain, and I figured that we should see what concerns people may have in the membership about this happening.
So do you have, you used the word fork, and I don't see the word fork in the article that you quoted. Is there anything special that you were referring to?
Yeah, Alan, it's pretty widely known that two teams are forking the source code to have two different attacks on launching mainnet.
You want to go into some more detail? It may be well known to you. I don't know if it's well known to everybody. Certainly not me.
Well, the document on the RChain blog sort of spells out the current state. Has everybody seen that document?
I read it briefly, and it doesn't seem to say very much that's new.
Well, there's been the rumor, the speculation that Meta has gone to the competition as a new project manager is announced, and Meta's LinkedIn page says blockchain company in stealth mode.
I see. Okay. Thank you, Jim. Jonathan, you're often aware of lots of goings on. Are you aware of this? Jim is saying that there's basically a fork that hasn't quite been announced yet of the mainnet platform. Okay.
You're on mute if you're talking, Jonathan. Anybody else have questions, concerns, comments? I mean, we won't know any more until the debrief. And if they're truly in stealth mode, we probably won't get all our questions answered. You're on mute, Alan.
Okay. Should we move on to the next topic then? Does anybody have anything to say about this fork?
No, Jonathan's back. I guess he's having trouble with his connection. Can you just talk now? You're still on mute, Jonathan.
Indeed, I am.
Okay. I don't think that anybody is wanting to talk about the fork, but as Jim says, we'll find out in half an hour. Jim, you want to talk about Collab?
Sure. I guess the next thing I had here was move to GitHub from Atlassian, which I guess people in the RIP channel know about. I was just wondering, Meta was a big fan of Atlassian, but everybody else wants to go to GitHub, and of course, the Ethereum EIP program is based on GitHub. So we're looking at moving everything into GitHub, which I think is a great move. Any comments on that?
I wonder if the new project manager has been involved in that decision.
Good question. I don't know. We don't know who the new project manager is yet.
Yes, we do.
Ah,
Can you tell us, Jonathan?
Yes, her name is Deanna Duke. She's one of the
Oh, yeah.
two hires that I've contributed to RChain. She has 10 years of experience being a TPM in very, very, very large scale projects for Seattle City. I've known her for 8 years. She's a person of impeccable integrity and personhood. I tried to recruit her to a prior job I worked with, but she was concerned about its financial stability. And here she is now.
that's awesome. I love her. She's terrific.
Yes, Kelly Foster, Nash Foster's wife, will continue to be a participant in the dev team, but Deanna is our new trusted dev. Meta, of course, has tremendous social capital within the community. She's been very visible every week for at least 20 minutes in each community hangout, but I have tremendous faith in Deanna.
That's awesome news. I wish somebody could take notes in the agenda.
Actually, I was trying to find the notes. Can you post a link to it? I'll take notes.
It's the usual place, kid. If you type into a Google search bar, just RAM agenda, it'll probably find it for you.
Okay.
It's in the chat.
Gotcha.
It's also linked to in the calendar.
Okay, Jim, do you want to talk about Collab? I'm thinking about heading over to the RIP meeting. You want to, maybe I'll take you up on your offer, Jim. You want to continue this meeting, and I'll head over to RIP and debrief anybody that's interested in what I hear?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
All right, guys. See you later.
Later.
Okay, ciao.
So the collab report. We have some sponsored funds from left over from Divvy Dow. I've been contributing to the fund with a good part of my SOW income, and but our work study attendance has been low. We did get a separate instance, independent instance of the social ledger prototype created for RChain. There's been some activity with the, I've been trying to get the RChain and Digital Life Collective connected, and some other much more influential liaisons have independently, somewhat independently, made the connection. RChain Asia with Jonathan through John Keldon and Peter
Peter Finn.
And Peter Finn, yes, in Asia. But I was thinking in for RChain Europe,
Peter Harris from Resident.
Peter Harris is connected through other leadership in digital life as well. So this cooperation is going on, and they have a new Social Ledger 1.5 portal, which can really serve as an awesome way for us to integrate our services and form our teams, and a process for giving people permissions in the different services or activities. So we'll be testing that with the collab itself, and if it's successful, use it for RChain completely. RChain already was connected to the social ledger through their Mattermost copy, but we just separated them into their own realm where we can take RChain Asia, RChain Europe, RChain US, and the Tampa Bay RChain Collective, and put them into the same social ledger structure where they can facilitate cooperation among them. And who knows, maybe this new company will be in there too. And the Tampa Bay Shards, it's sort of grown out of the collab. Most of the marketing team that was just fired is from the Tampa Bay area. A couple of different applications with coins faucet, and other development initiatives by people in this area. And we're setting up sharding pools, being an example for other communities to engage independently, having local shards, enabling members to be validators. And we're also looking into we have definite interest and in fact a prototype for the X kit, which will become the X box, the R kit, which may be stake validator. The R stick, USB node, plug in and it runs. Bond, and it bonds. And the R box, which is sort of along the same lines as the HoloChain, hollow port, where the people are the network type thing.
So what is the actual status of physical implementation of the so-called R stick and R box?
Well, we have a prototype on a Raspberry Pi that runs, and we've been doing the Jeremy down here has been doing Genesis over and over again. Some of us have participated in various times, and so the Genesis and bonding procedure is pretty well established, and even I can write a procedure to boot it up running, as long as we have the procedure down pat.
Right, but I think all of us would be more reassured if we could actually see a video of the actual physical devices and get some.
We're just in formation, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that we can move forward pretty quickly. There seems to be a high level of interest.
Right, but are there actually physical instantiations of R sticks and R boxes, and are there performance metrics available for these physical instantiations?
We have the R kit, and it's low performance. You're not going to. It's going to take a lot of them to be reasonably performant.
Right, but are there actually physical instantiations of R stick and R box?
No, just R kit. R kit is sort of do it yourself. We give them the instructions.
Right, so I'm just doing a reality check here.
Yep. It may be premature for me to talk about it, but I think it's exciting.
Right. Well, we live in a reality universe, and so if we're going to talk about R sticks, R boxes, and R things, we need to see physical instantiations and performance data. Otherwise, it's just mouth sounds.
Right.
Well, I will add that this is a collab report, Jeremy, and these are things that are going on in collab.
Yep, it's all very provisional, whatever. All right, I think that covers everything that I wanted to cover about that. We're getting final bounties for September for things that were previously sponsored before the austerity began. A few people have indicated their willingness to continue on a volunteer basis, and we're using the sponsored funds to, sponsor facilitators, evaluators, and active participants in the social ledger trial collab.
So what does sponsored funds mean, and who are they, and what kind of money are we talking about, and what is the money being used for specifically?
It's to be determined by the compensation channel, but my guess is that I can give you the address of the wallet. It has, in the order of 50,000 rock and small amount of the and other tokens.
Should we also be considering trying to arrange some sponsoring of these excellent rolling tutorial sessions that we've been seeing now, because the money from RChain has dried up, is my understanding, for these excellent training tutorials that Joshi and several people have been having. Joshi,
there's going to be there will be sponsorship for those on an ongoing basis. I think Jonathan's more involved in that than I am, but I know Joshi is going to continue with the co-op.
Actually, check out Joshi's latest. He's pretty clear that he intended to be a free support.
Jonathan, you're breaking up, but I'll just add that Joshi seems to make it clear that all the money has dried up for those projects.
My understanding is that he was continuing separately, but he had no budget to sponsor anything.
My understanding,
I could be wrong. Maybe he was going to continue without pay. I don't know.
It's just not your understanding or my understanding. It's a matter of read the blog post and read what he writes very clearly. And in Joshi way, very articulately.
Do we have a link?
Yes.
Kit Blake just posted it.
It's in the channel. It's in the Zoom group chat.
Personally, I think it's worth, whoever is hosting this channel, I think it's worth pulling up in a shared window and all of us reading, because I think he makes some really, really good points that are inspiring and relevant. And if you could embiggen massively, please.
Make it big, you say?
Yes, please hit the embiggen button.
Control plus.
That usually works. But
Hmm.
there we go. It wasn't clicked on the box.
I really think this is worth reading in a time of discord, as it were.
I need to mute somebody. Mute somebody. What exactly is Casper Labs?
Casper Labs is the competing company that's been set up.
Ah,
Jim, can you scroll up a bit?
I saw I saw there was somebody added a Casper Labs channel in the collab. Joshi is terrific.
Joshi is a gem.
Yeah. Wow. That's the position I tried to take with Scenario.
I'm sorry, Jim. What's the relationship to Scenario?
I was
And by the way,
I was taking both sides.
yeah, for those of you who don't know, Scenario was a project that Greg Meredith was involved in prior to the establishment of the RChain project. And there's a long, colorful history there.
Yeah, this is Scenario in reverse happening. They'll will be able to redeem rocks for their currency. That's how they can fund themselves.
I think actually the relevant point from Joshi's post isn't the nature or intentions of the proposed fork, but how Joshi is being very adaptive and adaptable in dealing with uncertainty here.
Yeah,
and I think this is a very inspiring post for all of us to read.
yeah. I think competition can be a good thing. as long as it doesn't get too nasty. And I think there's a good chance, because of the people involved, that it can be pretty reasonable. And, Greg always wanted there to be multiple staking tokens. Hopefully, we can stake each other.
Then why is Greg being so confrontational about this in public statements in the various Discord channels?
Well, obviously, he doesn't want it to happen, but it's happening anyway. I think Josh and me, have a positive view of this thing, and think that this is decentralization after all. It's. I don't think everybody's going to agree, and I think that it's okay, if people who don't agree work toward the same goal. Now, if they're not working together, we're talking about open source projects with participation from the open source community, and I think that the product that we may be different approaches, but it's great to experiment. And we can use their stuff if it's better. We can use our stuff if it's better.
Exactly. I view people wanting to fork our code base as an affirmation that we're doing some things right in terms of the software. I'd like to, now that we've all had a chance to look at Joshy's post, I'd like to turn the table over to other less vocal people than myself and you, Jim. In particular, I'd like to hear from Rick Stefanowski.
Okay, well,
Go ahead.
well, if someone else wants to pick up the scribing, that would be good, because I have to go. I've been in meetings for 3.5 hours back to back, and I just have to eat something. So I'm going to sign off before the next one begins, and we'll catch up with all of you soon. Okay, take care.
Hey.
Thank you, Kit. Bye. But I'd like to hear from other people that have not spoken yet. Okay, I heard back from Rick PM. He has nothing to add right now. How about Anson, Nutzipper, Neil's phone, Momchalov? Any? I guess Neil's phone cannot was not able to read the document. Other people have comments about the position that Joshi is taking, or David. Don't forget, this is a community hangout. We're all members of the community, and we don't know what you're thinking unless you speak. Okay, I'm not going to attribute these PMs, or actually, they're publics. Rick Stepanowski and Lex Zipper both are expressing their opinions here. So check out the chat window. David, do you want to add anything?
Hi there. I like Josh's statement. I can't really comment until I've heard more about the situation on the fork. So yeah, I kind of want to wait to see after the community debrief.
I think we're all in a holding pattern here to hear the authoritative, hopefully informed statements from management. I do want to say that I know a great deal about the details of the fork attempt, but for various reasons, I have to be quiet and judicious.
Jonathan, simple question. Going forward, is there any possibility that the forks will remerge, or do you see anything? I mean, do you see anything other than a breakup here?
Magic 8 Ball says to be determined.
Awesome.
I would say that RChain, in some ways, is set up for interoperation, and there will be interoperation if there's two chains. But my hope again is that Greg gets his wish and there's multiple staking tokens. Some shards would be on theirs, some shards would be on ours.
Jim, I'm a little bit confused. There doesn't seem to be enough investor interest or community interest to even get the co-op stuff done. How is the world going to support two independent projects?
Well, in nature, there's a lot of redundancy. And, if we're going to evolve, we need some redundancy. I see, RChain as a world computer, a replacement of today's internet. And I think it's plenty big enough for involvement of many organizations. I mean, Tampa Bay may want to have their version, but I guess the trick is this kind of decentralization has always been fought by the powers that be, and in some extent we have to be allowed to succeed, and having multiple heads is one way to make us less vulnerable.
So one thing that's been said to me as a retrospective analysis, and maybe this is something for you all to keep in mind for future projects, is that open source is awesome, but maybe it shouldn't be open from the beginning. Maybe development happens in a way that things cannot be cloned or forked until they reach maturity. Any thoughts from the community here about that?
No, I think RChain did that. for a while. You don't want people screwing up until you have something coherent to share with them.
No, RChain has been open source from the first line of code written. What I'm talking about is maybe open source projects, hypothetically speaking, and it's too late to consider this retrospectively for RChain, but maybe open source projects should not be open until they reach maturity. Just saying.
Yeah, I guess I remember the point where it was open sourced and it wasn't at the very beginning.
That zipper says being too open makes you vulnerable. That's the point that I'm trying to make here.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm thinking that the architecture should allow shards with different architectures to interoperate. It's Rolang. It's
there isn't even an architecture. I mean, we can't keep one group stable. How are there going to be two interoperating architectures?
well, maybe only one of them will work. That's to be seen. But if they both work, they're both going to have activity, and they both talk Rolang, so they can interoperate.
I don't know. There have been a lot of decisions about within Rolang, and I think all these parameters, as they get set or tweaked differently, or as differences of opinion come up within the dev community, the possibility of compatibility seems like incompatibility would be more likely than compatibility.
Well, it's all based on the row calculus. I mean, there's translators from just about any programming language to any other programming language. Doing that to row calculus between JavaScript, let's say, and row calculus would be a little bit awkward. But if we have another language based on the row calculus, I'm sure the translation should not be difficult, especially when you have parsers for both systems.
So, Jim and everybody else, I'm sure that you are aware of the K framework efforts that are being done.
Right.
So for those of you who are not familiar, K framework is a way of being able to be like a Rosetta Stone between multiple programming languages, so that you can identify the shared fundamental core logical properties of two languages and be able to translate their abilities. Is that approximately right, Jim?
Yeah, good description.
Okay, so there are teams that are working on creating a K framework relationship or translator between Rolang and JavaScript or Python or other well-known packages, such that people that are familiar with those other languages have an easier way of getting into the idiosyncrasies of Rolang.
Yeah, that's a big challenge. If you take unsafe code and try to make it safe, you're going to have to need some artificial intelligence there, I think.
I don't know that it's artificial intelligence. I think it comes down to formal logic, but that's a big argument. Never mind.
Yeah, if you have a logical language to begin with. But yeah, we can table that.
Okay, I've got to go run to conversations with some candidate bridge loan funders for co-op. So I'll catch up with you later in the hangout.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jonathan.
Yeah, so thanks so much for coming. So should we take 9 minutes off before the debrief meeting, or is there something else that's been put on the agenda? Just take a look. Whoops. Okay. So with that, I guess I'll end the meeting.
Jim, just a second. Zipper has a question. What's your question?
Members content, you mean in terms of the number of members that are counted for voting and for quorum and such? Well, I'm scared of it. You know, I see. You know, we in the sense of I'm concerned about mob rule and our, you know, of course, our I don't want things to happen too fast. I don't want to have. I don't want to radically upset the cart right now. So I'm on the fence on the issue, and I feel that we'll let the board consider it, and perhaps we can consider it in the January 3rd meeting of the members. But I would have left RChain if they succeeded in making Greg an employee. He's successfully brought us this far, in my view. And he has the vision. You know, he's not. You know, I see this whole thing as a hostile takeover, and you know, I think that, you know, if we kick Greg out, that would just be the first of the rest of us getting thrown out. So that answered your question. I'm glad. Thank you. Anybody else want to speak out on this? I know you had a strong opinion on it, Alan. So the members, who the members were.
Yeah, I think that in the current situation, everything has changed, right? It's not membership in a unified community. It's something different.
All right. See you guys at the next meeting, which is in 4 minutes.